Girl hears God's voice, and no one believes her when she warns that the building was going to collapse. No one believed it when she claimed to have spoken with God. After some time had passed, they humbly apologized. Alice woke up early in the morning, turned towards the window, and took a moment to gaze at the sky. She admired the sun's beauty as it peeked through the clouds before standing up. She lowered herself onto the edge of her bed and, gazing out of her window, started to pray.
Dear God, I express my gratitude for the gift of another day and the breathtaking sky above. May the radiance of your light illuminate my path today and extend its warmth to all those in my presence. I kindly request your assistance in finding the inner strength to navigate the challenges that lie ahead. Thank you.
But Alice was in a difficult situation. As soon as she rose from bed, a wave of melancholy washed over her, aware of the challenges that lay ahead at school. She prepared herself, then departed for her class. She was a sophomore in high school and lacked companionship. She was often judged by others for her unconventional style of dressing. Alice had to keep her appearance modest and minimal, as her father, a devoutly religious man, believed that drawing too much attention was undesirable. Upon arriving at school, a few students wasted no time in hurling hurtful comments her way.
Good morning. Did Jesus allow you to leave your room today?
Despite being the target of laughter, Alice remained unfazed and chose to brush it off. Alice was a quiet, introverted, and deeply spiritual girl. Her parents had a strong emphasis on making friends within their religious community. Her peers found plenty of reasons to tease her relentlessly. Regardless, Alice always made an effort to share her faith whenever possible, believing it would benefit others. She firmly believed in a higher power's guiding plan and held onto the hope that brighter days were ahead. The young lady came across a modest background. Her father, Ray, had a job at the church as a janitor, while her mother, Colette, worked as a seamstress. When her father fell ill, Alice attempted to sell sweets in order to generate additional income to support her family. Some students mocked her, suggesting that God should be responsible for covering their expenses. Alice faced numerous challenges during her time at school, yet she consistently demonstrated exceptional intelligence, dedication, and a strong work ethic. She longed to complete high school expeditiously and attend college in a location where she could start anew. She could begin a fresh chapter and form new connections. During math class, the teacher called upon Alice to come to the front and solve an equation. The young girl stood up and made her way towards the blackboard, only to be met with sounds of uproarious laughter. Unaware of the source of the amusement, she continued on her way. As the girl approached the blackboard, the teacher couldn't resist making a hurtful comment about Alice's personal life.
Alice, I've heard things about your parents, but it seems like you're keeping track of your period, huh?
She exclaimed. Upon inspecting her clothes, Alice noticed they were dirty with a red stain. Overwhelmed with emotion, she couldn't hold back her tears and quickly left the room. Alice was deeply hurt by the apparent enjoyment her classmates took in her suffering. Whenever she had the chance during breaks, she would find a quiet spot at the back of the school and gaze up at the sky. She let out a sigh, envisioning a life that was different from her own. She found solace in confiding her thoughts to God, her sole companion. During recess, a group of boys from her class noticed her engaged in a private conversation. When questioned about her conversation partner, she calmly stated that she was speaking with God. Clearly, those around began to laugh and mock Alice even further. Some even claimed that God didn't even exist. In their opinion, he wouldn't have had the courage to create someone who they considered unattractive and strange. Every day, Alice returned home with a heavy heart, growing increasingly disappointed with life. Distracted kicking pebbles, she stumbled along her path. Alice was in tears, overwhelmed by the mistreatment she endured by her colleagues. Seated on a park bench, she pleaded,
"Oh God, I need you. Help me escape from this predicament. All I desire is for them to have a favorable opinion of me. I simply desire companionship. I really want to join them for lunchtime. I just want them to pay attention to what I'm saying. That's all I desire."
On other occasions, Alice would discreetly eat in the bathroom stalls to avoid being noticed by the preppy girls who constantly wanted to bully her, especially Giovanna, the dominant figure who led the other girls. The entitled child believed she was the most attractive and unique individual in the school. She was frustrated by the fact that Alice, who was unique, didn't feel envious of her like the rest of the girls. Giovanna had a rather high opinion of herself and was accustomed to getting her way. Her parents provided her with all she desired in life, leading her to believe that school was her domain, and she reigned as the queen. Giovanna was responsible for much of the harm that Alice endured. They engaged in hurtful behaviors towards her, including pulling her hair, calling her names, attaching gum to her backpack, and leaving mean notes on her back that Alice would only discover once she returned home. It remained consistent, day in and day out. Time continued to pass, and there was no improvement in sight. Alice continued to wake up consistently, kneeling down in prayer and pleading with God for her heart's desire. Yet, there seemed to be no change in her circumstances. Nevertheless, Alice's faith remained strong and unwavering. September arrived, and Alice's excitement grew as her 16th birthday approached. Every day that month, she fervently prayed to God, hoping for the ability to effortlessly connect with others and be accepted by her peers. During one of her classes, Giovanna made a spontaneous decision to host a party at the end of the month. She was fortunate to have parents who owned a ballroom and were willing to fulfill her every desire. The party would be uncomplicated and straightforward. Alice chose not to attend the event due to her parents' restrictions. On the morning of September 27th, Alice woke up and gazed out the window, hoping for a sunny day with clear skies and fluffy clouds. However, much to her dismay, the weather turned out to be overcast with a grey sky and extremely windy. Alice despised rainy days, and unfortunately, the forecast predicted a lot of rain. She felt discouraged just looking outside. Nevertheless, she prepared herself, and as she was about to leave for school, her mother, Colette, gave her a call.
"Alice, dear, could you please join us in the kitchen for a moment?"
Alice followed her mother and, upon entering the kitchen, discovered the delightful surprise awaiting her. There, she found a charming chocolate cake adorned with colorful sprinkles, accompanied by 2 delicate pink candles displaying the numbers 1 and 6. The cake was adorned with a heartfelt message, "Happy birthday, Alice." The young girl's eyes welled up with tears as her parents began to sing "Happy Birthday." Despite being an only child, her parents couldn't always manage to bake a cake for her birthday every year. She was aware of the challenging financial situation, but this unexpected surprise filled her with overwhelming joy. As she savored a delicious slice of cake, her mother appeared to have a beautifully adorned box and handed it to her, saying,
"I hope you enjoy it. I created it according to your specifications, just as you requested. Can you please open this, honey?"
Alice opened the box to find a beautiful, sky blue sweater, with delicate lace decorations adorning the sleeves. Colette was aware that her daughter had a strong preference for the color blue. Just a few days back, as the family made their way back from church, they happened to walk past a clothing store. Alice couldn't help but be captivated by a light blue sweater showcased in the window, adorned with delicate lace decorations on the sleeve. Alice felt an overwhelming sense of joy when she discovered that her mother had crafted the sweater identical to the expensive one she had wanted. She slipped into the sweater, embraced her parents, and expressed her deep affection, saying, "I adore everything, and my love for you is immeasurable." After that, she departed for school. Upon arrival, the preppy girls began mocking Alice's new sweater, claiming it was exceptionally unattractive. Upon hearing the young girl's explanation that the gift was from her mother, the mean girl said, "Oh, we also have a present for you. You could have it during recess. You'll definitely enjoy it much more." Alice was filled with disbelief as she made her way to class. Her curiosity piqued. During recess, Alice had to eat in the courtyard because it was raining, preventing her from going to her usual bench. It was at that moment that the girl approached her. Giovanna explained, "Behold what I've brought you." Alice was in disbelief. It was a simple birthday cupcake. They placed the cupcake on the table and began inviting people to join in, singing happy birthday.
"All right, everyone. Let's all join in and sing happy birthday to Alice."
Alice was filled with joy, finding it hard to believe that something positive was finally occurring. The girls carefully placed the candle on the cake and gently lit it, filling the room with a warm glow. As they began to sing happy birthday, Alice's joy quickly turned to surprise when the candle, upon burning out, unexpectedly burst into a black ink balloon hidden inside the cake. The cake turned out to be a cruel prank, far from what it appeared to be. Once more, Alice found herself with an unfortunate ink stain on her brand new sweater, leaving it completely ruined. Giovanna chuckled and suggested,
"Why not go as you are to our party today?"
Everyone found it amusing to mock Alice. She quickly retreated and sought refuge in the bathroom stalls until it was time to leave. Arriving home, shedding tears, her parents were in disbelief at the sight before them. Alice's situation is unfortunate. Her mother embraced her tightly, sharing her tears. Alice showered, lay down, and spent the rest of the day in tears. That evening, her father went to check on her, and the young girl confided in him, expressing her overwhelming distress.
"Father, I can't bear this any longer. I've grown tired of school. I always feel like my efforts fall short. They have no desire for my presence. I doubt they will ever accept me. Why am I the one chosen for this? I have a strong devotion to God. Why is it necessary to endure such immense hardship? Why does nothing seem to improve?"
And she continued to shed tears. Ray, noticing his daughter's tears, sat down next to her on the bed and gently spoke. "My dear daughter, I understand your pain, but I believe that things will get better. Just have faith in God." And he continued, "Strength is inherent in you, destined to achieve remarkable feats." With tears in her eyes, she asked her father about the remarkable things. "My experiences have been quite challenging." Ray gently placed his hand on his daughter's shoulder, tenderly wiping away her tears. "Rest assured, my dear, God knows precisely what lies ahead." He reassured her. It's all about having faith. He embraced Alice tightly and gently advised her, "Take some rest now and remember that you have the strength to overcome anything as long as you hold on to faith." He exited the room, leaving Alice to ponder in solitude. Alice, with tears streaming down her face, gazed out the window at the overcast sky and observed the rain cascading down, savoring the melody of the raindrops tapping against the glass. She pondered over her father's recent words. She pondered over her peers and experienced a deep sense of unease. There was an odd sensation, leaving her uncertain about what exactly was amiss. She believed that her heartache would pass, and through tear-filled eyes she prayed to God.
"Dear God, despite my pain, I will continue to have faith that you will guide me towards achieving something extraordinary. Despite the pain in my heart, I remain steadfast in my belief and will continue to persevere." She dozed off before completing her prayer. It was approximately 6 p.m., and the daylight was fading. Alice had a dream about Giovanna's ballroom and arrival of her friends for the party. Despite the heavy rain, a steady stream of people continued to arrive. The music was incredibly loud and blended with the thunderous noise. There were lots of vibrant lights and delicious food. She observed the guests engaging in lively conversation, dancing, and thoroughly enjoying themselves. Before long, Alice was startled by a scary clap of thunder and instinctively glanced skyward. She observed a crack in the ballroom ceiling, which gradually expanded with the rain. Eventually, to her horror, the ceiling collapsed onto her classmates. She let out a scream, but no sound escaped her lips. Then she heard a loud and gentle voice coming from the heavens that said,
"You must assist them, my daughter."
Alice attempted to rush to help them, but in that moment, she abruptly woke up, letting out a piercing scream. Her parents rushed into the room filled with concern, As they saw the fear in her eyes, Alice quickly got up and rushed towards the door, without any hesitation. Her parents, completely clueless, chased after her and inquired, "What's the matter, sweetheart? What seems to be the issue?" Alice, standing by the door, informed her father.
"I heard the voice of God, Dad. There's a potential for a really bad event to occur. I need to put an end to it."
She started running through the rain, making her way towards the nearby ballroom. Her parents, unaware of the situation, chased after her. As Alice entered the ballroom, drenched and filled with fear, she urgently called for everyone's evacuation. However, she received no attention whatsoever. Her peers, some finding amusement, while others, taken aback by her appearance, simply disregarded her. As they attempted to remove her from the party, Alice's eyes caught sight of the crack on the ceiling, causing her to become even more panicked as the memories of her nightmare flooded back. She exclaimed in panic, warning that the ceiling was about to collapse.
"Oh no, it's cracked. Hey, it's important that we leave this place immediately."
However, her words fell on deaf ears as no one bothered to pay attention. They carelessly ejected the unfortunate girl and promptly returned to the festivities, rudely shutting the door in her face. Alice, determined, began pounding forcefully on the door, yelling,
"Leave immediately! The ceiling is going to collapse. I've received a divine message that the ceiling is going to collapse."
Among the guests, as they listened, would only exchange comments with each other, expressing their disbelief at her behavior. She definitely needs to go to the hospital. Alice retreated indoors through the rear entrance, drenched and covered in mud. She noticed the fire alarm and made the decision to activate it. People quickly rushed outside, feeling frightened by the blaring fire alarm, the confusion evident. Shortly after, everyone left the ballroom when Alice approached them and confessed to triggering the alarm. The guests were quite upset and began raising their voices. Giovanna aggressively confronted Alice, forcefully pushing her to the ground and expressing her disbelief.
"What is wrong with you? Can you comprehend the consequences of your actions? You really messed up the party, you fool. You spoiled my celebration. I will make sure you remember this experience for a long time."
At that instant, a few individuals swiftly grabbed Giovanna and attempted to keep her at a distance from Alice. Alice's parents arrived, defending their daughter and commanding everyone to keep their distance. Giovanna continued to scream and struggle, desperately attempting to harm the innocent girl. She angrily accused,
"Your daughter is insane. She needs to be admitted to a mental hospital."
Just as Giovanna was about to pursue Alice once more, a deafening crash happened, accompanied by a brilliant flash of lightning, striking the roof of the ballroom. Without warning, the ceiling fell down, obliterating everything beneath it. Everyone stood frozen, unable to react or comprehend what they had just witnessed. Baffled, they all turned their attention to Alice, who was on the verge of tears. There was a brief silence and no one uttered a word. Some began to cry, while others embraced one another, and some buried their faces in their hands, questioning the reality that had just occurred. Alice's observation proved correct. The ceiling had collapsed, and they remained inside. The outcome would have been fatal. Giovanna, overcome with despair, could only gaze upon the wreckage. However, once she regained her composure, she shifted her focus to Alice, who remained sprawled on the floor. She appeared to be astonished by the reality of it all. In a beautiful moment, Giovanna rushed towards Alice, embracing her tightly as tears streamed down her face. Everyone there was deeply affected, but they also began to gather around Alice, embracing her tightly while shedding tears. They apologized to Alice for never believing in her. Gradually, their tears turned into smiles as they felt a sense of relief wash over them. It was all thanks to Alice that their lives had been saved. Alice was overwhelmed with emotion as the crowd erupted into applause, causing tears to well up in her eyes. This time, she was overcome with joy and tears streamed down her face. Alice woke up and was showered with hugs, praise, and affection. Her parents were overwhelmed with emotion as they witnessed their daughter finally receiving the love and attention she had always longed for from her peers. Everyone was filled with joy and began to have faith in the existence of God, convinced that Alice had played a big role in stopping a terrible disaster. So, Alice experienced a newfound sense of love and acceptance from her peers, who finally began to treat her with the respect she had always deserved. Now it's up to you. Do you think that Giovanna deserved to be forgiven by Alice? Write your opinion in the comments below.